In this session, I wanted to focus on how you can use perspective in thinking resiliently. I don't know whether you've noticed, but we seem to be increasingly losing perspective in society, and one of the obvious examples of that are the number of rages that we now have. We've got road rage, we've got shopping trolley rage, we've got computer rage, we've got call centre rage. I'm sure there are a lot more rages that you can actually think of to add to the ever-growing list. And the difficulty when we lose perspective and we lose control and engage in one of these momentary rages is, of course, they can have a very negative impact. If we're talking about the workplace, which is where I work as an organisational psychologist, the obvious impact is on those around you. So if you're losing perspective quite frequently and overreacting, clearly that has a big impact on how people actually respond to you and might end up starting to avoid you or not give you any bad news in case you might overreact. Also, it has an impact on our well-being. If we're constantly overreacting, of course what we're doing is we're actually affecting our own sense of calmness, and ultimately that can affect how we're feeling, and not only how we're feeling but how well we are physically. So why are we all of a sudden losing perspective and engaging in all these rages? Well, one of the main reasons probably is just the busyness of life and the fact that quite often we're already at saturation. And if you reflect on the last time that you lost it, chances are it was a very small thing, but it was on top of a very difficult day or a difficult week or maybe even a difficult year. So it wasn't actually the incident itself, it was the fact that you were already at a level of saturation. So just recognizing that in itself is probably a really important thing. But what are some basic tips on how to avoid overreacting to silly little everyday events that tip us over? Well, the first one really is just calm the body to start with. So imagine you're in the supermarket and it's lunchtime and you've got 10 minutes to get through the checkout and get back to work for an important meeting. You go to the express lane, 12 items, and in front of you someone with 16 items. It's very easy, isn't it, in those circumstances for us to start to get a bit tense and maybe even a bit vocal about that situation. And recognizing again, this actually isn't necessarily about the situation, it's really about you and your own level of saturation and the pressure you're under. So the first situation there, of course, is to just calm your body. So just to breathe and relax. And then the second component, of course, is to reframe, rethink the situation. So if you're standing there thinking, how dare they go through this checkout when it clearly says 12 items, and how can people be so stupid? I really need to get back to work. If we're thinking all those things, clearly that's going to get us more wound up. So just relaxing and staying in the moment and saying, well, look, at the end of the day, there's nothing I can do about it, and instead refocusing on what's going on around you. Then what you're able to do is you're able to actually regain that composure and stay calm. And that's an example, of course, which is more a social example in terms of the supermarket, but it happens every day at work. If we've got a computer that is very slow to start off and it has to be turned off every night, we can sit there getting agitated, getting tense and getting upset, or we can relax and just sit there and reflect on something totally different and take that space and time just to do nothing. Which of those we choose makes a really big difference in terms of the day ahead and how we set ourselves up emotionally for it. So think about that. How often are you losing perspective recently? Are you overreacting? And if you are, chances it is about saturation, not anything else. And you can control that just with two simple things: relaxing your body, calming, and reframing the way you actually see the situation.